Yesterday, some things happened. Some bad, mostly good. There were mixed responses, most telling me to tell, but one HR professional saying I shouldn't. Due to mixed messaging, I did consult a local employment lawyer. That lawyer told me I should make HR aware of the past I have with Krista, but make it clear that there was never anything disciplinary acted upon me in college. Ooh, that's good. He asked if my job had a copy of my transcript, and I verified that it did. Lawyer asked if there were any third parties that would verify the harassment and see if I could get their names and contact details if needed. I knew 2 people back in college that I still had on my LinkedIn and was certain they would tell the truth, so we're good there. Lawyer told me to just request a meeting with HR and my supervisor and say there was a past with Krista. There was never any charges or disciplinary action, and I have 2 witnesses if they ever need verification. So that's what I did. Friday morning, I came into office and sent HR and my supervisor an email requesting a formal meeting at 10 a.m. My supervisor came to my desk and asked if everything was okay, and wanted to make sure I was happy. I told him everything was fine, I wasn't leaving, and it wasn't anything to do with him or the team. He seemed relieved, and by 10 a.m., we rolled into the conference room with the HR officer. I thanked them both for taking the time out of their day to meet me. And then I did as my lawyer instructed. I said the new project manager, Krista, was someone I went to college with. She participated in harassment of me in college, detailed how I never had any charges or disciplinary action, and that I had 2 independent witnesses who saw the harassment and gave their contact info. My supervisor seemed shocked, and the HR officer went through the info I gave her for a minute, and then the 2 of them talked. Finally, Krista was called in. I'm on the edge of my seat. When Krista walked into the conference room and saw me, HR, and the team supervisor, she seemed shocked. HR started with something like, "We have been told you 2 have a past." Krista sat down and looked pretty shocked throughout. She did admit to the bullying, but tried to reframe it as a misunderstanding repeatedly. I'm sorry, I failed to understand how that's a misunderstanding. I'm misunderstanding how that's a misunderstanding. Seems pretty cut and dry to me. She never outright said what the bullying was, but then she was told that since this was an incident in both our pasts, that nobody wants it brought up again, that it should stay dead. HR made it clear that this is not to be a funny water cooler story to share. Krista and I both agreed to that, but Krista still looked shaken. Noon was coming up right when the meeting was wrapping up. My supervisor and HR again reiterated none of us is to breathe a word about the college incident. The first thing Krista's gonna do is try to get as many people on her side as possible. We're professionals and we're here to do a job. I went to the break room for lunch and I actually felt like my appetite had finally returned. The last few days were stress starving me, to be honest. I sat at a table with the rest of the development team and we started eating. Halfway through my sandwich, another coworker, Sandy, 30 female, came by and said,
"So, I heard an interesting story yesterday about you and Krista,"
with a big grin on her face. She didn't get further because my supervisor was at our table, stood up and pointed to Sandy and across the room at Krista and said, "You 2, conference room now."
Goody.
I wasn't privy to what happened in the conference room, but I did see the HR officer go into the room 2 minutes later, looking pretty pissed and with a mustard stain on her shirt. I guess she got the call and was interrupted during lunch. Not sure what went on. The rest of my team asked what it was. I said I have no idea and just kept eating. 5 minutes later, 2 more co-workers on other parts of the project were brought into the conference room. Lunch ended and we went back to work, but speculation was high. It wasn't until 3 that the conference room finally emptied. Krista looked like she was crying, and the others that were in the room with her seemed to treat her quite coldly. Not sure what this will mean, but it appears for now, Krista's still working here. But I appreciate the lengths HR and my supervisor are taking to ensure this won't blow up further.